Hello everybody, it's Holger here from Constellation Research, welcoming you to episode number 99. Can you believe it? The last double-digit episode. Welcome, Liz.
Holger, how have we done this for almost 50 episodes? You and I have done nearly 50 episodes of
We have done. As a matter of fact, we have done 50.
We have done 50.
Exactly.
And, you know, the rest of the clown car just keeps rolling with us. Yep. Hey, everyone. Welcome to CRTV. I did ask Holger to sing the 99 Red Balloon song because I thought that was just maybe like an appropriate celebration or punishment, whichever.
99 Luftballons auf den Weg zum Horizont. Was könnte da schon falsch laufen? Weiter weiß ich den Text aber nicht. Okay, I don't know the text by heart.
Everyone, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Let's see if we have the funds that our producer Hannah is going to cue the melody for us, because
right.
I hear it, I can sing
That'd
it.
That'd be great. If we could go right into it, that'd be awesome. But instead, Holger, what you and I have to get into
is the news.
You and I got to see some news up close and personal at SAP's introduction of their big, shiny, and quite new data cloud solution.
Mm-hmm. BDC is the new acronym, the Business Data Cloud. Everything
Business Data Cloud, baby.
BDC, BTP, I don't know what other B is. Business AI, BAI, I don't know. I haven't called BAI
Oh, yeah.
yet, but it
Remember
would be
when it
we
was
did
called
this too, so
listen, SAP and Adobe are going to arm wrestle for who likes a good acronym first. But BDC, listen, it was a hot topic. It was a hot conversation. But I also think you and I also got to sit firsthand. Before you dive into the technology of it, I want to say something just kind of random about what we got to see in that news and in that live conversation. We got to see an SAP CEO who is super comfortable with being the SAP CEO. And I've kind of said this every time and every year we progress through Christian Klein's tenure as SAP CEO. I think a lot of people wanted to jump on how young he was when he was first brought into that position. I think people really wanted to forget how much experience he had in the COO role and what experience he did have operationally within the organization. But, I remember that first analyst conversation, and he was not super comfortable, if I'm just being super honest, right? There was a bit of hesitation. But this year, not only was Christian super comfortable in speaking with all of us, but Christian was super comfortable with the decisions and the hard decisions the organization has needed to make in order to get to a point where they have a very distinct focus and a very distinct direction of where they understand their growth and where their success is going to come from. Yes, absolutely, it's going to come through the data. Yes, absolutely, it's going to come through the AI, but it's also going to come from a rigor of being able to move people into that cloud. What is that rise motion? What is the grow motion? Kind of all the names that sounded really amorphous for the past couple of years really took on a different weight and a different kind of solid nature in our conversations that we got to have with him. And a lot of them are private, so we can't share what a lot of that information was. But I thought I felt really good about where that posture was coming from.
Right. Yeah, so trick of the trade, right? Always asking executives something personal if you know something personal, and you rechange their wiring system, and you get a more honest answer, and you learn more about them, which is a very good thing to have, right? But the thing which I think helps Christian a lot is that he knew for a much longer time, like many SAP executives, that they have to do something in the big data lake, Lakehouse space. Yeah. They couldn't do it for reasons which are too long for this video, but if you're interested, we can talk about this, or watch my video about BDC, which I published, I think, on Monday. Go into that a little bit. So they're doing the right thing, and they've been doing the right things this a long time, because as we heard from Ali Ghozi in the joint statement, the technology, first of all, the important thing is SAP is not building technology by themselves anymore. They're licensing it, they're reselling it. That's what made SAP big from a database perspective in the 90s. So they're not doing HANA by themselves, they're not doing data lakes, whatever, by themselves, but they're licensing, they're OEMing Databricks, which is the best solution out there in the market. Probably also the solution they've been using a lot, because I asked Phil Herzig, how long will it take you to re-platform BAI, Business AI, on BDC? Well, he said Q2, Q3, and Q2 is just 1 month around the corner, which is super fast, which probably only works because they've been using, which makes sense, Databricks before for getting things done. So very important. I see it as the biggest technology innovation from SAP on this side of the millennium, because it gives SAP a new lease on life, right? Because the whole time we knew not all business relevant information are in a transactional database, no matter if it's HANA or additional database.
Right.
There's much more information to that. The sad part for business executive has been that the analytical capability, where Hadoop originally comes from the advertising space, right, has not moved the enterprise to go there. Instead of that, we had this major head fake of Snowflake, which I'm still surprised that an old concept, the data warehouse, which failed companies on premise from a data insight perspective because it was too slow to adopt, got new life because it was put in the cloud, right? And it's interesting, like the cloud, I'm a little concerned, but okay, the concept of data warehouse, I know, let's go Snowflake, right? Snowflake has moved to Datalake, Lakehouse as well, like everybody has, but that held back the analytical insights part. But what really pushed SAP over is obviously AI, as we talked about this, get all the relevant information there. You cannot do this on premise. You see how they're a little ahead of their time. Phil Herzig and team are, of course, building AI stuff, but they're building traditional analytics apps, right? The data insights apps, the insights app they're coming out with are things you could have built before, and are kind of like a little bit the older thinking, because they're not fully taking advantage of the data lake, because the data lake is not there, hydrated with third-party data and other things, right? But I see it as very similar to, and you both me were at the conference September 2022 with Salesforce announcing Genie, the data cloud, and so on, right? And all of a sudden, all things stack to each other. And the same thing stacking for SAP with a data lake, with BTP building on top of that, Joule AI Studio being on top of that. Now there's a coherent, workable AI strategy for that. Which, last thought on this list, sorry, let me finish on that, is the interesting thing I asked Mohamed Alam, the head of lots of CPO practically, but he's not, but for most of the applications, he said it will be relevant for the ECC customers too. And that's the interesting thing from that perspective, that the reporting side will be there, the data will be there, they can do AI from it, and they may be able also to get something, because I think in the long run, and here's speculation, then I finish, we will see the next SAP transactional application, the next generation application, which use AI running on BDC. Obviously, has to be there, right? And that will create more pull, more upgrade, and solve SAP's upgrade.
I think the thing that I really enjoyed hearing during that session was, and again, so much of it was under NDA that we can't kind of share a whole lot of specifics around it, but it's around the new thinking of how SAP understands a lot of businesses are actually running. And I think a lot of their competitors talk about how we know how you're running, when what they really know is how they run their estate and how they run their tech stack, as opposed to really understanding how the business runs. And I think a lot of the changes that have been made in the CX portfolio that SAP has long, let's be honest, struggled with trying to figure out how to right size. They have rebuilt and re-architected their sales cloud offering. They've rebuilt and re-architected their service cloud offering so that it's not just a tool that sits in a sales department or in a service desk or in a service solution. Instead, because it is built on that business platform, it is something where anyone who has the job of delivering service, regardless of functionally where you sit, have access to that composable architecture, and have access to the functions, have access to the workflows, have access to the data. They're building a lot of these applications in a way that it melds to work rather than melding to what you could put in an estate. And I really applaud that thinking, because it really does put their money where their mouth is when it comes to what they want to do with data, what they want to do with AI, and what they want to do with all of these other processes. It shows that their applications are running on that platform in a way that suits the business, not just suits SAP. And I think a lot of their competitors are going to struggle trying to adopt that same mindset, because they simply don't have that platform, and some of them don't have that architecture, especially for CX solutions that can be built in that manner. They've got to sit in marketing. They've got to sit in sales. Why don't you have an engagement cloud? Why don't you have a service cloud where anyone can have access to that? Where someone in finance who has to deliver service through collections can leverage that same type of interface and that same type of solution. So I think that SAP is setting itself up to actually succeed in the future as well. And I think, like you said, like we're seeing a lot of the things that they said they wanted to do come to fruition. So I certainly applaud that. Anything else you're seeing out there that's newsworthy?
Yeah, well, if you say CX, I have to say HCM. Then back was then,
Ah,
right?
of course.
We talked about
We'll go back
what is
to it.
happening in that portfolio, and very important strategic for them to have BDC available. The concern I have is like success factors across the 5, 6 sisters, as I used to call the different acquisitions, was always the one who gets the most stars for being the first on the new platform, on new technology, Fiori, lily pads, new iFAC work centers. And they kind of like neglected a little bit the functionality. Dan knows that. They still have to do it one more time, because I think across the functions, CRM, finance, manufacturing, I think AI will have the most transformative potential is HR, because first of all, it's 99% except for recruiting internal, right? I can experiment and do stuff internally as I want. I can cut, move, realign, move people as I need. And the reality is that HR has failed across the industry since 20 years, 25 plus years, because hey, there's a browser, employee, manager self-service. We don't need all these divisional, departmental HR people. Just go self-service yourself. We know that did not work, right? It's going to work. It could work if you want to push it with Gen AI. So I think across the enterprise automation portfolio, that's the most where things will happen. So. We'll see.
As far as non-SAP news, lots has kind of been happening. We've seen some announcements from a comms giant in Avaya. They are going to be enforcing their 200-seat minimum for their cloud offering. This is not a big surprise. I think people want to turn, anytime Avaya puts out a press release, they want to turn it into this is the coming of their next bankruptcy. Like everyone wants to kind of turn it into this big thing. And I'm like, actually, I think it's more a move around what Avaya promised us after the second bankruptcy, right? Which was, we're going to stay focused. We're going to stay focused on enterprise customers that are solving big problems. A customer that was holding under 200 seats was never going to be an enterprise customer, right? You're talking about a small to mid-size organization. I think that, I think this is a sharpening of their focus and a sharpening of their strategy. So, I wasn't really freaked out when I saw the news. In other deprecation news, Amazon and AWS has officially announced the death of Chime. Chime, of course, being their unified communications platform. But what they have very smartly done is, over the past several years, you've seen a lot of the video, the messaging, the meeting collaboration via an SDK be able to be already integrated into things like their CCaaS offering, Amazon Connect. You've fully had voice and video and meeting fully integrated into your contact center solution, but they're also a building blocks company. So they've had those SDKs available for developers to build on for quite some time. So I don't think there are going to be many customers that are going to face a whole lot of disruption. I think the biggest customer that's going to face disruption from the deprecation of Chime is going to be Amazon, right? They've moved over to Zoom. The thing to note is that all of the platforms, Zoom, they're certainly available. WebEx, I think they also brought up Ring Central. There are a lot of solutions that are available through their marketplace on AWS. So customers are really not going to have a hard time. The reminder that I give to all the customers, though, is go download that data. Download that data and turn that into training data, certainly into your knowledge centers, because all of those meetings, all of those answers, all of that collaboration, that's data. That is ripe and that is gold. So make sure that you go download that and make sure you get that out of the system. Okay.
But if we talked about AI, if we talked about CX, if we talked about call center, what else we have to talk about?
I don't know.
Major announcement. Quantum, of course. It will be the
year of Quantum.
Yeah, and it was Google with Willow in December last year, and now was the moment of Microsoft, right? Talking about, you said focus, doing less, doing better. Here, doing more. Microsoft is doing hardware. Super interesting, because a third new approach potentially, how to do quantum, how to get more qubits, an incredible 1 million qubits technology possible on a superconducting chip, right? Microsoft's doing hardware again, right? It shows how important all the cloud giants are working on this, because quantum technology is going to be the first computing technology that enterprise will only access through the cloud, because you have to have the other data there, the data prep and other parts too expensive for other people, moving too fast. So it's super interesting to see that progress. Majoran is the code name of the chip, funny name from that perspective, but super conducting topology.
It's
qubits,
gold and red. It looks like an Iron Man chip. It's cool. It's cool looking, Holger, and that's what matters.
And in closing, one business inflection point, I always like inflection points. Walmart, for the first time, has been smaller than Amazon in revenue ever in the Q4, which Amazon got boosted. So it's going to be run this year. Amazon is probably going to be better for the whole year, but online retailer are overtaking brick and mortar retailers. You heard it here first.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into that. We don't have time to do that one. Anyway, that's a whole other show. It's a whole other show on stuff. But thanks for joining us. Listen, we got a ton of stuff for you to see. Lots of interviews at them. Rumor has it Holger's going to talk to you about some shortlists. But we'll see you at the end to say goodbye. But thanks for joining us.
Thanks for watching. Hello, everybody. It's Holger Müller here from Constellation Research, here to talk to you about one of my favorite topics in general, which is talking about shortlists. Why do I like shortlists so much, right? It's very, very simple, because they facilitate what is near and dear to my heart, so near and dear that it's part of my research agenda or my main research topic, which is enterprise acceleration. Enterprise acceleration is what do companies need to do to move faster, to become more agile, to succeed in this area where everything is moving a little faster. And as always, when I talk about this, tell me if there's an area where you think things are going slower. I'm not sure if I want to work in an area which is moving slower, but I still want to know from a knowledge perspective which areas of our economy are going slower at this point. So today, with no further ado, it's also more interesting because this shortlist ties directly into one of my latest research reports, which is about there's only one, and because it's important, because one, I have it in numbers here in the title, one IT strategy in 2025 and beyond. And the shortlist is important because the very first step of this one IT strategy, for which we have to do another video, so I'm going to tease this already here, is that you need to build what, no further ado, is the data lakehouse. And as a very shortlist, we have shortlist criteria for that. And the shortlist criteria for this one are, it has to have a transaction database inside of it. This can be native or built from a third party. It has to have analytic database capability, again, native or third party. Very, very important. It has to have object storage for all data. It has to be present at least in 4 continents because companies are global. You cannot have your enterprise acceleration or your IT strategy be stopped by a vendor, which is only in certain areas. It has to be able to, out of the box, create what is the talk of the town today, or this year, or next year probably too, which is to build AI-powered apps in a single offering. It has to have to build new applications. Next generation applications is also my research area, so you have to be able to build those. It has integration with vendors at the same level. It has out-of-the-box interfaces to third-party apps. It has integration capabilities which have to be real-time, very important for AI, real important for building the next generation applications of Joule, which are agents. And then, of course, access security controls and other similar things. A list of thresholds, nothing really exciting there. The question, of course, is who are the vendors, right? Who are the vendors who are on this list? And with no further ado, let's jump into them right now. 7 solutions right now. I call them quickly data lakehouses. Name escaped me before. Why? There's data lakes and there's lakehouses. I call it data lakehouse because all of the above, all of that brought together. Data lakehouses. Maybe a little surprised to find Akamai on that list. Akamai is the leading content network. They've been building out their stack to build applications at the edge. Very important if you want to build edge-like applications. AWS is not a surprise. Google Cloud is not a surprise. IBM may be a little bit of a surprise because it puts things on top of it, but it was an excellent development offerings, very, very important for companies, especially if they want to bring something also out from a mainframe to a Lakehouse architecture. Microsoft Azure, not so much a surprise. SAP pretty much made it last week to that list with the launch of the SAP Business Data Cloud, the ability to store all the information out of SAP, fulfilling this criteria. Someone in the application space who's doing this much, much longer is Salesforce. Salesforce launched the predecessor of this with Salesforce Data Cloud in summer 2022 or maybe even earlier. Who is missing on that list? Notably, Oracle. We'll see if they add this year. I think they will have to add this year. Who's also missing is Workday, to talk about the large application vendors. That's pretty much what are the vendors which will be on this list from my perspective, but never say never, there could be more. If you want to learn more about this, download that list from us today. It's available for download. Our shortlists are for free, so you can use them for your part and do enterprise acceleration at its best for you, which starts with the software selection of a solution which you want to use. And these are the vendors which we're looking very, very closely to, and we know that they can deliver the solutions that the shortlist is all about. So this was my short video to introduce you to the shortlist of data lakehouses who can build next generation apps. Of course, next generation apps in 2025 are all AI apps, but also analytical apps or transactional apps, right? That's the key thing, that these data lake houses provide the foundation to build your modern applications in the enterprise, not only for you, but probably also for your packaged vendor who's using that. So with no further ado, right, that's pretty much what I want to talk to you about. Don't want to make this out and drag this longer. If you have any questions, feedback, please look in the show notes, provide me, reach out to me. My Twitter handle, yes, Twitter or X is still a thing, is still around. Looking forward to hear from you. Appreciate to hear feedback, your critique, tell me which vendors are missing and everything like this. This is Holger Müller from Constellation Research. Thank you very much for watching.
What's up, everyone? We're here live from the Willows Lodge. We have just wrapped up AXS 2025. Another great session talking about customer experience, employee experience. I mean, we should maybe just call it like the experience conference, probably just summarize everything. What did you take away from all of the conversations today? Martin, go.
Yeah, I think one of the things I took away is that I think there's a big appetite for transformation around things like AI, but silos still exist both from the data side, but also really from the organizational side, right? If CX is a team sport, like you like to say, we still need to break down a lot of these.
We got messy teams.
Yeah,
and
understanding ownership of these projects and collaboration around that is a really big deal. Another thing I kind of learned is that from the customer side or from the consumer side of things of these new initiatives, there's a lot of generational issues and barriers where, we're talking to healthcare people who are saying both employees and patients will only work with paper. They still want to fax things. They want to fax things.
The best was they scanned their faxes. Whoa.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So while I think there's great appetite and I think there's a good attitude, we've still got a lot of barriers to get over, but I think the right attitudes are coming around.
Yeah, I love it. Larry?
People matter. I'm shocked by how much we talked about people and experience.
Lots of
It was
conversation
weird. I
around
thought we'd
people.
be like AI agents, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The other big takeaway is data. Like he mentioned the silos, but data quality matters a ton too. And then the actual AI and what we do with that. But I think there's going to be a bunch of reorgs going on to sort of figure out that structure.
Yes.
Exactly. Holger, your first time at the Ambient Experience Summit. You have been fighting coming.
Yes.
You have denied wanting to be here talking about employee experience, but tell me how much you loved it.
But then I came for the beautiful weather.
You came for the weather.
In February, and it never did let me down with lightning strikes and power failures.
It's been a time, Mother Nature.
And wind.
Yeah, and wind.
Yeah.
In climate. So yeah, I mean the interesting thing is, yes, the silos obviously are there. I don't hear so much of the CX side. I hear the employee side all the time. People are your biggest asset. So many companies say that. So it's glad that the CX side acknowledges it so much. But the good news is the technology is there to break down the silos, right?
Yeah.
You see the data clouds coming. Data clouds provide you that infinite computing architecture to get all your data together, and then run AI on it, run your transactional applications on it, whatever you need to do. So hope is on the horizon. Like spring will come to Seattle.
Spring will come again. I love it.
Just don't know when.
I love it. I think no matter how many times we host this, no matter how many times we gather and all the different places we go, the reality is that this is a shared experience across every industry, across every market, no matter what technology you have in place. We're looking at people, we're looking at data, and AI really does become that hopeful idea of what we get to mix with the seasonings that we not want. People said that it was like soup.
Yeah.
You put lots of different ingredients in, and you're going to get something different every single time you place it. So, live from Seattle, thank you to all the people who joined us for the Ambient Experience Summit. And
what about quantum?
Holger talked about quantum. That's what happened. Holger talked about quantum. But Holger did also talk about quantum as really the next acceleration
The thing
point.
we would be talking about if AI wouldn't be here.
If
and the
AI wasn't
sentence
here.
That everybody in the audience learned, if you want to stop the AI conversation, when you say something, you say, but what about quantum? And then,
Or Holger can whisper that and none of you could hear that.
right.
So that could also happen. But what about quantum is definitely going to be the next t-shirt that comes out for AXS. So thank you for next year's theme. Listen, stay tuned on ConstellationR.com for the dates for 2026. We'll see what happens, but thanks for tuning in to CRTV. On to the next segment. Woo, that was a lot. That was a lot, Holger. We just jammed a lot into. Thank goodness there's no like FCC regulations on how long we drone on this thing, right? No one can stop us except for our producer, Hannah, who is going to get a hook and physically remove us from this stage pretty soon. So it's time to say goodbye. Listen, thanks for sticking around. I hope you guys liked that live segment that we did at AXS. It's kind of like you're seeing us and then seeing us from the past, and then you'll see us in the future. It's a whole thing, but we loved being at AXS. Listen, what's coming up next at Constellation is going to be the AI Forum. So stay tuned on our channels for insights and video from that. But also make sure that you check out things like all those shortlists, and certainly the ones that Holger's talked about. So constellationnr.com/shortlist. Go check those out. And as always, after us is going to be the dynamic duo of Larry Dignan and Martin Schneider. They're going to be bringing you episode 100. We know you're pins and needles waiting for that bad boy to drop. We, as ever, will be back for the odd numbers. And because we're odd, I think that is pretty fitting for us, Holger.
Thanks for watching. Stay healthy. See you soon.
Later, guys. Here comes Liz.
Right on time.
Ah!
What's
Hannah.
the episode? What's the episode?
This is not where we should be sitting.
It's the episode. Yeah, Hannah.
Where
Hannah,
is
it's
the
Friday.
episode?
TGIF, it's Friday, but Hannah's not doing her job. Yeah, she went to the bathroom. She just lets her talk here.
Flip it!
Okay, sorry, my internet is slow. Just relax.
Your internet is slow. Oh.
But then we went back to the same place.
Oh.
We're in the same weird spot.
We can't swap ourselves.
Let me see if I can do it. Wait, I was gonna say, wait a minute. Let me see if I,
What are you?
how do
do
I
it
do
yourself.
it? Where do you flip it?
You just put the mouse on it and click over, I think.
No.
No?
No. Hang on.
No.
Ah, there we go. Thank you, Hannah. Okay.
Perfect.
Oh, but that
Let's go.
does also bring us back to what episode are we? But it's episode
Yeah.
something. Ah,
They get the triple digit one? That's not right.
Wait, what's that song? How does it go? With the 99 red balloons? Come on, it's in German. Holger. You
Ja,
should be singing it.
99 Luftballons. Auf dem Weg zum Horizont.
That's
Oh,
the episode title, everybody. There we go. Okay.
Right, the 99
Oh.
Luftballons about starting
Here we
World War III because of some air balloons. Right, so
Yeah, well,
perfect, happy talk on Friday. All right,
it's fine.
shall we go?
Let's go. Here we go. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we've gone long. We're in trouble.
Yeah.
Bah. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay. Blah, blah,
Takes
blah,
this
blah.
live thing.